Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, always Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope you guys had an amazing Monday. It is Tuesday, but every day in the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, it's a Friday up in here. So we're going to party it up. We're going to hang out. We're going to, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite drink, your beverage or whatever, how you like to call it. Sit down, sit back and relax and watch the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. This is our wrestling fandom show. This is my show just as much as it is your guys's. So remember to hit up the chat box if you guys want to just, talk about wrestling. Tell me how you feel. Tell me, projected storylines. Tell me certain superstars. We're going to get into Monday Night Raw first. So get prepared. Get prepared to talk about Monday Night Raw. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up. Our first segment, we will dive into Monday Night Raw. Segment 2, we will get into WWE NXT preview. And then third segment, I'm going to explain why exactly did it take, or why did it have to take, and why was it necessary for the WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes to win 2 Royal Rumbles to dethrone Roman Reigns? Segment 4, we're going to get into New Japan Professional Wrestling Dominion, which aired June 11th, I believe it was. And, our 5th segment, every Tuesday, we go through today in wrestling history. So let's go ahead and dig on into that. But before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys that we get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So don't be shy. Hit up the tips and donations link and, just send me a chat. Just put your chat up on top so I can see it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like about the podcast. The best thing that I honestly love about, being associated with media is, I can handle criticism. I like criticism. I bring forth feedback as a gift. I only want to get better, especially, in my young career as a sports broadcaster, in this case, professional wrestling. So, don't be afraid to hit up the donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. This put your questions. Like I said, it really does help the show, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a little bit of peace, love, and positivity all the time, all day, every day. And remember, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. So let's dig on into our first segment here. We're going to talk about our WWE Monday Night Raw review. So first and foremost, you kind of see Bron Breakker coming into the arena right off the bat. I kind of like that. I kind of liked how they were setting up kind of like the future. You saw Ilya Dragunov, of course, they feuded in the past. I believe Ilya was the one to dethrone Bron Breakker for his championship. Don't quote me on that. And send him to the Wolf Dogs where he teamed with Baron Corbin. But I thought it was ultimately great. I know that recently WWE wants to restructure kind of like the character of Bron Breakker, which is the right thing to do because right now I feel like, squash matches, backstage attacks isn't really his style. But, of course, starting off, I know a lot of people who watched Raw understand where I'm coming from. They're like, well, Eric, just wait, and that's exactly what happened. But we're gonna get into that a little later. The show started off with Drew McIntyre makes an appearance and absolutely makes the Judgment Day reference right off the bat. He's fighting Damian Priest at Clash at the Castle in Glasgow, Scotland, Saturday. If you're on the Pacific time like I am, like that's like 10 in the morning, man. That's crazy. It's forbidden to open up a cold alcoholic beverage at 10 in the morning on the Pacific, coast. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe a nice cup of coffee will do it. Maybe some water. Maybe a nice cup of OJ can, because mostly like people like watching sports, they like to grab their favorite, beverage and stuff like that. But that right now is not the case, unless you're into that kind of thing. Which is cool, which means you can be my friend. I'm just kidding. No, moving on. So we had immediately he was met in the ring with Damian Priest, where he showed up. Every single time Damian Priest's name is mentioned by Drew McIntyre, he always pops up. It's crazy. He wants to be that fighting champion. Absolutely respect that. And he said something that kind of rubbed the Judgment Day the wrong way. You can see it in JD McDonough's face, also Finn Balor's. He said, I don't need the Judgment Day to win the title. I never needed them. I'm a champ because I'm Damian Priest, which kind of got me that thinking, that these guys want to fight one-on-one. These guys obviously want to fight one-on-one. My, selfish attitude error, self wanted a steel cage match, maybe a Hell in a Cell, but that didn't happen. So ultimately, there was a proposition made that the Judgment Day would be barred from Clash at the Castle if and only if Drew McIntyre defeated Finn Balor on the main event of Monday Night Raw. But we will find out, more, heading into that as well. Of course, Liv Morgan, once again, the WWE World Women's Champion, also paying dividends within the Judgment Day kind of, self battle that Dominik Mysterio is kind of going through right now. She dropped off her hotel room key to Dominik Mysterio, and she said, why are you with someone who's calling you mommy? Like, why don't you let somebody call you daddy? This is like, it was just so crazy. It was just like absolutely, like, it was kind of like one of those like jaw to the ground kind of moments there. Professional wrestling, especially the WWE, has always been profounded on, PG, being kind of being a product that's suitable for children. So now you kind of have them kind of diving into the PG-13 kind of area, which is professional wrestling. So if you're like a professional wrestling fan, you're like, oh, I can't show my kids this. Like, that by all means, that's absolutely 110% your decision. But WWE recently signed, their television rights over to Netflix. I'm not sure how, on board Netflix is going to be with the PG, kind of era of the WWE that it's been going through. So maybe a little PG-13 here and there, does a body good. In terms of television ratings, obviously you had The Rock, one of the leaders of the Attitude Era. One of the leaders of the Attitude Era. He's one of the main. He's a chairman within TKO Holdings, which recently merged with WWE. So now that's UFC. If anybody doesn't know that. So now you kind of have this product, and you have Triple H, Paul Levesque, the creative officer of WWE, and you also have the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, in charge of the creative. He's the creative officer in WWE NXT. So now you kind of have these three guys. You have these three guys that's kind of saw, how the company was up, how the company was down, how they fought the Monday Night Wars against WCW. You kind of saw like them kind of, you kind of saw WWE plummet between like I would say like 2008, the end of 2018 to the beginning of 2020. Obviously the pandemic did happen and it hit WWE pretty hard. But I don't know, it's kind of crazy how how they're kind of letting this storyline slide, because I'm not a huge big romance, storyline kind of guy in terms of WWE. I think it's kind of, it can either be really, really good or it can be really, really bad. Most cases, it is bad. Of course, you have Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, who made it, kind of cool. You also have Eddie Guerrero in China, Rhea Ripley and Dominik Mysterio. I feel like it was not really that romantic as opposed to the way that they're kind of handling it with Liv Morgan. Handing, the mounting him outside of the ring, playing with his hair, kissing him, also giving him her hotel room key. So, it's crazy. It's crazy. But something that I kind of picked up from Monday Night Raw tonight is that the Judgment Day is the main attraction on WWE Monday Night Raw, which kind of makes sense. Every single time they had a break in Monday Night Raw, I felt like they were trying to find some way to kind of relate it to the Judgment Day, which is the reason why, you've seen in the Uncle Howdy QR code, with Bo Dallas, the date is June 17th, I believe it said, which is going to be on Monday Night Raw. So, you're going to have Uncle Howdy come out. It's going to be a Raw stable. It's going to kind of create like a little bit of a nuance within WWE, which is great because right now you have so many injured superstars. It's absolutely crazy. CM Punk is going to come back eventually. Recently, who's that girl? Oh, God. Selena Vega got, she was confirmed that she, got approved by WWE medical facilities that she's ready to go back into the ring, which is pretty awesome. But for the men's, for the title runs and stuff like that, like I kind of feel bad for Damian Priest. Like I am still, still haven't really bought into the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Not just yet, but It's crazy. It's crazy. So you kind of put the strap on Damian Priest. You had CM Punk go out. You had Seth Rollins go out. You had Bobby Lashley go out. And so many, it does pay dividends and it does tell a story, especially within the injury like kind of categories and stuff like that. Moving on. So Io Sky took on Lyra Valkyria. I was kind of upset because this wasn't a number one contenders match for Liv Morgan's title heading toward Clash at the Castle, which makes me think that there's going to be a way that Liv Morgan will probably kind of find a way to screw over Drew McIntyre. Maybe CM Punk might, kind of put his nose in the business of Drew McIntyre once again. But I don't really see Damian Priest defeating Drew McIntyre very cleanly. I like Drew McIntyre. He had a promo with Sheamus in the back where I just like Drew McIntyre. I kind of miss him as a face already. I honestly do. He was a great champion. I know he was a champion during the pandemic, but I think WWE should give it a second gander because it was money. It was money. It was absolute gold. It was very profiteering, definitely. Io Sky and Lyra Valkyria Sky, gets the win, which was kind of shocking because Lyra Valkyria's just been so hot lately. And then Lyra Valkyria was attacked by Damage Control. Carter and Katana Chance came out to rescue her. The thing that I kind of got, and the thing that I thought was actually pretty cool about this whole, Liv Morgan room key thing is you saw Finn Balor steal the key, like he slid it under, and he also had Carlito be like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Like I just thought it was absolutely pretty. And the car, and it's this storyline is going to be I feel like it's so fragile. I feel like it's so fragile. On one hand it could be great, but if some promo goes bad or just like even if one of the wrestlers look at the camera like in a weird goofy way, this can absolutely blow up in WWE's face. But so far it's been decent. It's been passable. Once again, last podcast I mentioned how Ludwig Kaiser defeating Sheamus ultimately would put him in the WWE Money in the Bank, kind of picture, which, he declared he was going to be in the Money in the Bank as well. He's been doing really good. Ludwig Kaiser, he's not just Gunther's, right-hand man. He's not just Gunther's attack dog. He's not just Gunther's, now ring announcer. But Ludwig Kaiser, I feel like he's finally getting the push in WWE that he desperately needed. He should have been an Intercontinental Champion, I feel like maybe like a year and a half ago. But, baby steps. Obviously, back then it was still under the Vince McMahon era. Obviously, you have a new creative officer, Triple H, Paul Levesque, that's going to get these superstars the best, mostly out of their career that they're kind of hoping for. So, we had that, we definitely had that to look forward to as well. Next, you saw the OWO teaming up with Braun Strowman to fight against the Judgment Day. The WWE did a pretty good job of keeping Dominik Mysterio out of harm. I noticed even though he did have the wrap around his elbow, he needed Tommy John surgery. I thought they did really, really good in terms of that. And, that's when Liv Morgan came out into the ring and, that whole like thing, kind of mishap kind of happened and stuff like that. And then you also saw Braun Strowman, once again, he came in, Dragon Lee got the pin. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was a decent 3-on-3 match. I thought perhaps it could have been a little bit better, but once again, I don't know. I just feel like Braun Strowman's being underutilized. I wouldn't know why they brought him to WWE without including him into that Uncle Howdy, kind of storyline and stuff like that. And yeah, it was kind of crazy. Next, we saw Sami Zayn against Otis. It was a different version of Otis, claimed by the Alpha Academy leader Chad Gable. Once again, Otis loses the match thanks to Chad Gable, and it's kind of crazy because if Chad Gable would have never interfered with any of his matches, I feel like Otis would be like 4-0 by now. And it's kind of crazy because he mentioned in the back when he was with Sami Zayn, he was like, honestly, Sami, Chad has kind of been there for me, kind of, I think, who was it? I think it was Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee said it the best, where it was like, I think it was Stockholm Syndrome or something like that, where you kind of fall in love with the person that's like berating you and like that's beating you down and stuff like that. So, like, Otis is definitely in this abusive relationship with Chad Gable, where Chad Gable is abusing him psychologically, mentally, and, sometimes physically. He slaps him in the face. But this is going to blow up. I feel like they are trying to build up this uh, Chad Gable against Otis. Once again, a Clash at the Castle. I don't really see Chad Gable dropping. Well, I don't really see Sami Zayn dropping the belt to Chad Gable, but it would really up the ante to kind of put over Otis's career if he wins that Intercontinental Championship match. Because he, once again, he told Chad, he said it to Sami. He was like, "Look, Sami, I was kind of like a reject after Heavy Machinery kind of backed out, talking about his tag team partner Tucker, which WWE broke up, which was stupid." He said, "I lost my Money to Bank briefcase to The Miz. I feel like once again, the Otis kind of won by accident. I know, it kind of fell. I think it was AJ Styles, and I forget out who the other guy was fighting for it. And then it fell in his hand. I think it was Daniel Bryan. Could have been Daniel Bryan. And it fell into Otis's hands, and he was the Money in the Bank winner. And he also brought up his peach, Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose, it's kind of crazy how she kind of left the WWE. But that's for another, topic, outside of the PG area. Just kidding. Moving on. So we saw AOP take on the Awesome Truth. This match was kind of a little, kind of like a, just a little, not like, I don't want to say a little taste, because I felt like this match was, I would give it probably like a C plus, because you knew there was going to be interference. You knew that these guys couldn't take on the Authors of Pain alone. The Miz and Awesome Truth, Ronda Shoot Killings, like he was able to win. They were able to win. They were able to keep this, tag team title reign going. And, kind of like what Karrion Kross wants to establish. The New Day came out and, helped them out, because the Awesome Truth was ultimately like kind of they were kind of outnumbered and stuff like that. And of course, you had Karrion Kross and you had Starlet and stuff like that. So I don't know if WWE is heading for a New Day breakup. Kofi Kingston, he's had singles, success when Xavier Woods and of course, Big E injured. But I don't think Xavier Woods has really established himself as a single superstar besides being King Woods, which I feel like is right. I don't want to see this tag team breakup because it's been so long and they've been so damn, marketable. They've been so damn successful. They hosted WrestleMania, for God's sakes. I don't see a profit coming from, breaking up Xavier Woods and, Kofi Kingston. And I got a chat once again from my man, Little Fettuccine 68. Priest and Drew is the best thing in WWE right now. And to be honest, you're right. I think that's 1,010%, correct. It was kind of unfortunate that CM Punk did get injured in the WWE Royal Rumble, but of course, it creates a whole butterfly effect that if CM Punk would have won the Royal Rumble, I feel like he would have went on to fight Seth Rollins for the title. And I'm not too sure if Damian Priest would have successfully cashed in his Money in the Bank. Maybe he would have tried to cash it, or WWE would have been like, we'll have him try to cash it on Rhodes, and he's going to lose. But I don't know. I just feel like right now those are the two top superstars. The injuries once again plague Roman Reigns right now, kind of being on hiatus. You kind of have this Uncle Howdy, kind of thing lingering over. Damien, a kind of person that I would think would jump into the title picture would be Finn Balor, but right now Finn Balor's with the Judgment Day, which I don't really, like 1,010%. But I agree, 1,010%. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre are going to tear down the house and Clash at the Castle. I see some way, somehow, that Damian Priest will ultimately win, defeat Drew McIntyre. But at SummerSlam, I feel like whoever fights whoever fights Damian Priest is probably going to, dethrone him in that kind of, quickly moving on, we had Bron Breakker against Ilya Dragunov. It was an amazing match. It was the best match of the evening. It was a hellacious battle. Bron Breakker got the win, and wanted to attack Ilya Dragunov once again. Then you saw Ricochet come out. Ricochet was driven through the windshield of a car. Samantha Irving, and Ricochet went off in an ambulance, and who only knows how WWE or why exactly did they kind of use this as Ricochet's last night within WWE. I don't know, but I kind of hope Ricochet does better for himself. I don't think WWE right now is the best spot for him. They give him the Speed Championship. Oh yeah, that's cool, but you only wrestle in matches that's under 3 minutes, and he could put on a hell of a match, and he's done so much to kind of prove that. The reason why they have not put the United States Championship on him is because you had Logan Paul come out, the YouTube star, So you're like, oh, we got to keep him happy. And then you had Sami Zayn and the whole Chad Gable thing. And then you had Gunther and stuff like that. Like, it sucks that Ricochet, thanks to his hereditary and stuff like that, he is a small superstar. I get, obviously I know WWE can't be like, this guy's a heavyweight contender, which he could be, you know what I mean? Sometimes you can have, someone, they gave Rey Mysterio a title run. I don't know why they want to give one to Ricochet. So, yeah, we're rapidly running out of time for this first segment. Once again, Bron Breakker leaves Ricochet in an ambulance. McIntyre fights Finn Balor for the right to have the Judgment Day barred in his match at Clash of the Castle. Drew McIntyre wins. He won. Damian Priest came out, which absolutely did, kind of disturbed me. Not disturbed me, but it kind of like surprised me because I thought Damian Priest was all about like, oh, I want to win cleanly. I don't need the Judgment Day. And he came out and then he tried to interfere where he tried to throw Drew McIntyre's focus off, did not win. The Judgment Day is now barred from Clash at the Castle. So, that's something to look forward to. It's going to be a great match. Should be interesting to kind of see what kind of shenanigans happen there. So, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump right on into our WWE NXT preview. Expect a lot of fallout from NXT Battleground. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about our first segment. We talked about our WWE Monday Night Raw review. Now we're going to get into our WWE NXT preview. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys once again to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot your questions on over. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. It really does help the show, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, excuse me. And don't be afraid to shoot your questions. Don't be afraid to comment. Don't be afraid to state your, maybe some predictions you have, some storylines. It's going to be amazing to kind of be like, oh, I think this and that and the other. But then I might have someone in the chat, of course, like my boy, Little Fettuccine 68, definitely, backing me up here, with his thoughts and stuff like that. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Honestly, if I didn't have a show to do, I'd be like, let's just chat for an hour. We have an hour to talk about wrestling. Just think about this podcast. Or like you're sitting at a bar with somebody. You're a top wrestling fan, you're part of the wrestling fandom, and then you sit down and you're like, hey man, do you watch wrestling? As a matter of fact, I do. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, definitely love that. Definitely love that kind of, that friendly banter and stuff like that. So, yeah, remember the link is at the GSMC, podcast.net. So don't be afraid to hit that up. All right, let's dive into our WWE NXT preview. I got also a chat from my boy. Brock and Roman are coming back during SummerSlam. That would be something. That would be absolutely something right now. Roman it's been tipped. I read, articles on Ringside News. And I think even Dave Meltzer even reported it that Roman Reigns is obviously very upset with where the bloodline is right now, which is, in all fairness, it's true. It's true, but like you have Solo Sikoa, kind of messing up the name of the dynasty of the Inoue family. And Brock Lesnar, that would be a bombshell. Brock Lesnar's name has recently been lifted off the ban list in WWE. how close he's coming to an in-ring return. I know he was very close. He wanted to, be in the Royal Rumble. He wanted to fight Gunther. Even today, Gunther even claims that, the Mountain, to find his final chapter, his final boss is, Brock Lesnar. It would be amazing to kind of see Brock. But then again, I'm not a huge Brock Lesnar fan because when he does have the title, he. It's not that he doesn't put on good matches. Of course, he hits 10 German suplexes, suplex city, and like he hit like a couple F5s. And it's just like I feel like I feel like Triple H really doesn't want Brock Lesnar to come back until most of these injured superstars, maybe Roman Reigns comes back. But like I kind of played around with the idea that Paul Heyman wants out. He wants out of the bloodline. And obviously he wants to go represent a superstar that is worth his time. Goes back to Brock. They challenge Solo Sikoa. Solo finds a way to defeat Brock Lesnar, having Paul Heyman kind of on his hands and knees crawl back to the young bloodline. That would be good. I can kind of see that happening and that kind of working in Solo's favor. If Solo Sikoa beats someone like Brock Lesnar, you can bet your ass that he will be considered as like a tribal chief. But we don't know if Brock wants to come back for all that. Like, you know what I mean? That's something that obviously WWE creative would have to work hard with him in. If I was Brock Lesnar and if I had all this, kind of scrutiny and kind of all this, allegations and like just all this like negative publicity, I would kind of want to come back. I would want to come back to kind of, state my claim in WWE to be like, look, I do not want to go out this way. I don't want to go out this way. I'm a fan of wrestling. I've loved wrestling throughout my whole entire, life, basically. And Brock Lesnar did. He was a wrestling fan. He grew up and he was he was an Olympian. He wrestled in high school, and Brock Lesnar was the absolute hottest thing to come out of amateur wrestling or college wrestling. And it's just kind of a damn shame the way kind of thing worked out. Jacob Fatu or reverse Brock Lesnar would be that'd be bomb. That'd be pretty cool. I would love to kind of see that. You have so many people from the bloodline coming out. You have Zeely from from MLW, I think, don't quote me on that. I feel like Zeely's gonna come. That's what's his I just did a thing about him yesterday. Umaga, that's Umaga's son. And then you also have Hiko Leo that just fought in New Japan Professional Wrestling Dominion. That's contract ended actually on that day. So he's the younger brother of Tamatonga and Tongaloa. So I don't know, there's just so much possibility within, the bloodline and stuff like that. So let's talk about WWE NXT. Obviously today on this episode, we're going to have a fallout of NXT Battleground. We're going, and it just kind of makes you think, will we be surprised by any other TNA appearances heading toward the future? And though Jordan Grace did lose and she was unsuccessful in winning the WWE World Women's NXT title at Battleground, she said, she had this, and I quote, she said, it's not often you lose a title match and leave a champion, but, obviously here I am, still the TNA Knockouts champion. Most importantly, I hope last night is a reminder that you can never rule anything out. Anything is possible in professional wrestling. Thank you, TNA and WWE, for taking a chance and giving the fans something different, unique, and unforgettable. Thank you for trusting me and to be one of the people to kind of help you do it. And, oh, man, I kind of was hoping that Jordan Grace was going to defeat Roxanne Perez because it would just open so many forbidden doors, which would be absolutely sick. It's kind of like that huge WWE no-no where you don't want anybody, we don't need superstars from, outside of the WWE. We're fine, we're the best of the best. And that's not the case. That's not the case. You have amazing superstars fighting in New Japan Professional Wrestling. You have amazing wrestlers fighting in NWA, in MLW, they're, in AEW. There's other, they're in Star. There's a lot of wrestling promotions. You just because you kind of found a way as a WWE talent to kind of land on like the main, horse and stuff like that, doesn't necessarily mean that your promotion can't be better. It's kind of like one of those things where like, you go into a job or, you experience something and then you use your skills to the best that you can, to your capabilities. And you're like, oh, I don't need to learn anything new. That's wrong. That's wrong. If you go about any situation like that, that's kind of ignorant. Obviously that's my opinion. I feel like, going into anything, I feel like every day is a different chance, is an amazing chance to learn something different. So that obviously that's my opinion. Um, so like I said, Jordan Grace said, don't rule anything out. I liked how she kind of get that there, leaving the door a little open toward WWE. I want to see her come back. I want to see Jordan Grace come back to the WWE. I know she has a year or more left on her TNA contract, and she is a hell of a TNA Knockouts champion. So, obviously a lot of stuff happened on WWE NXT Battleground. I went over it on the last episode, so make sure you check out that segment on YouTube. And and she said, and like it's the way she says it, it's just so humble. Just so humble. A lot of people could be pissed, much like a lot of fans, even some of the wrestlers in the back were kind of upset that Jordan Grace did lose that match. Believe it or not, it was reported. It's very common. It's very common in the wrestling world for wrestlers to kind of switch promotions. Obviously you have for them to find a new audience. Relations with the promotion that they're at obviously might be a little uneasy. Um, Lack of opportunity. Obviously, you kind of see Ricochet, when it comes to that. That's probably why he's leaving. And of course, the money. Of course, the money. You want to go out there. You want to, you kind of want to cement your name within the wrestling legacy. Obviously, a lot of people, we do things in this world, obviously, because we're passionate about it. Obviously, because, it fills our 9 to 5 kind of sense of duty, so to speak, psychologically. But we also do it for the money. We have people that we support. We have husbands, wives, kids. Some people support their grandparents. That's totally cool. Absolutely, 110%. And, money, a lot of people, but I don't want to get into this. That's just, let's stick to wrestling. But wrestlers, they do stuff for the money, not because they're, kind of like jerks and stuff like that. Like if Becky Lynch probably accepted a contract, one of the biggest contracts in AEW history with Tony Khan, I bet you a lot of WWE fans would be like, wow, wow, wow. You turned your back on the WWE universe just for some cash? After all, WWE has done for you, making you one of the best women in wrestling history, putting you on WrestleMania, the main event with Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. And, obviously there's going to be a lot of turmoil. There's going to be a lot of lashback. There's going to be a lot of negative publicity. But, sometimes you have to go out there. You have to kind of do what you got to do. You're an athlete. When you're an athlete, you're betting on yourself, one, and two, you're kind of betting on your physical capabilities. That's the reason why some of these NFL players don't show up to OTAs. That's the reason why they hold out for their contracts, is because injury can happen at an instantaneous moment. So sometimes you kind of need to know that you're going to be financially stable, even when the rough goes rough. Obviously, you have promotions. Obviously, you have, NFL teams or organizations that's going to love you and they're going to pay you and they're going to love you when you're at your best. But sometimes for a successful client, manager, client, consumer, client, employer kind of relationship, you kind of need to go through some hard times as well. And most of the time, if you're a part of a sports entertainment conglomerate like the WWE, you need to ensure yourself that you're going to be financially stable, especially if you're, going to get injured. You're in the ring constantly. You're going to get injured. You're doing stunts off the top rope. You dare to be like, hey, why don't you jump off the top rope more? Oh, you know what? I don't really, want to get injured. And you guys would release me. And then, I'm basically effed. You got to look out for yourself. You got to look out for yourself. And obviously that's, definitely something that, why wrestlers like to kind of bounce from promotions to promotions. So WWE NXT, we have Javon Evans that's going to fight against Shawn Spears. They fought in the back of last WWE NXT, so that match is going to be pretty entertaining. You have Shawn Spears getting in ahead of Josh Briggs, Javon Evans. Highly young, that guy is going to do wonders. I definitely see him as maybe possibly like a North American champion heading forward. And then next we have Michin against Jaida Parker. Like I said before, this ladder match was kind of just like, obviously Kelani Jordan won. Happy for her. Congratulations. But the women that were included in the match are ultimately going to be probably her next opponents. You're going to have these girls battle it out for a chance to fight Kelani Jordan for the NXT North American Women's Championship. Next, we have a Singapore and Kane match. We have Dante Chen, who's been very, very impressive. Very young, very, very impressive. Obviously he was a trainer. WWE personnel, kind of like if you saw MJF and, LA Knight, who were all probably in the same kind of boat as Dante Chen. But Dante Chen, stuck with the rankings. He stuck with WWE. They gave him a shot. They gave him a developmental contract. Obviously, wrestling with WWE NXT. So Dante Chen is going to fight Lexus King, and he has 2 wins over him. Let's see if he can make it 3-0. Next, we have Wendy Chu returns. Cody Rhodes also appeared. It's going to be interesting to kind of see what the American Nightmare brings to the WWE NXT roster. If some of these kids from NXT wants to step it up and challenge Cody Rhodes, but a lot of people probably think it's going to be Ethan Page. That's, they kind of had a relationship when they were in AEW. So, something could happen with that. Would be kind of cool to kind of see Cody Rhodes kind of push Trick Williams to the limit in like a non-title match. But that's just, obviously my fandom going kind of wild here. And lastly, we have the New Cats Republic teaming with Wesley against the Gallus. So it's going to be one hell of an NXT. It's happening right now on the USA Network. Can't wait to watch it. I got it taped. Swear to you guys, I have not watched a single shred of TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, or whatever. Do not know what happened. So, yeah, pretty awesome. So, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump into our third segment. I'm going to get into why it was necessary for Cody Rhodes to win 2 Royal Rumbles to finish the story. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric. If you recently just tuned in, we talked about WWE Monday Night Raw review. We also talked about our WWE NXT preview. So make sure you check out those videos on YouTube as soon as this, telecast, gets off the air. Now we're going to move into our why Cody Rhodes needed 2 Royal Rumble wins. Of course, remember to hit up the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Your word and your voice goes such a long way. So don't be shy to hit up that chat at the GSMCpodcast.net. Really does help the show. And don't be too shy. So let's go ahead and do it. So why Cody Rhodes needed 2 Royal Rumble wins to finish his story. Obviously, it's kind of tricky. There's so many kind of factors that kind of come on it, kind of play on into it, but here we go. So Cody Rhodes had become the first ever back-to-back Royal Rumble winner since Stone Cold Steve Austin did it back in 1997 to 1998. Roman Reigns had 4 years of dominance, absolutely. 1,316 days as your WWE Undisputed Champion. It's the fourth largest reigning world championship in WWE, and he did it as a heel. Vince McMahon absolutely loved Roman Reigns, and he was doing it to the point where he was forcing it down people's throat. People hated Roman Reigns. People hated him. It was unbelievable how so many people when he was wrestling in matches and stuff like that. And they'd be like, and the WWE universe would chant like, "This is boring," or "Roman sucks." Roman, it got to the point where it was kind of obnoxious, and WWE knew they kind of had to do something to Roman Reigns' character to kind of revive it, so to speak. So, definitely love it how they did it as a heel. Obviously not, as the babyface, despite the fact that he was absolutely pushed. He was not pushed. He was forced down the throats of WWE fans. The biggest storyline, the bloodline. That's the bloodline. That's a storyline that will not ever kind of be touched again. It was genius. It was perfect. It was perfectly timed. You had Jimmy. You had Jay. And then you had Solo come out, and it was just like, it was so perfect. And then, of course, you had the honorary use, Sami Zayn. And the way they kind of handled it, the way WWE, officials and creative officers kind of handled it was actually really, really perfect. So give them 1,010% credit, definitely throwing them all the flowers. So I definitely think that's pretty badass. I definitely thought that was really, really good. And of course, something that, you have the bloodline, you have Roman's reign, and now you have the Inoue family. The Inoue family, the largest dynasty within professional wrestling. That's something you cannot ignore. That it's you have a guy like Roman Reigns who's been a champion for almost 4 years. They're not just gonna let some nobody. They're not just gonna let some 2-bit wrestler come and dethrone him. So it had to be set so much perfectly. It had to be patient. It had to be something that's out of this world for it to kind of set up, for it to kind of be perfect. So, definitely think that as well. Cody Rhodes also left the WWE in 2015 after bad bookings and horrible creative choices made by WWE. Along with the Young Bucks, he founded AEW. Rhodes will never return to WWE, which was exactly what a lot of people thought. I definitely thought, definitely what I thought. One of those things where, where you kind of have to sacrifice ego for something you ultimately want. And Cody Rhodes wanted to prove his family, wanted to show that, obviously his father, who never accomplished winning the WWE title, wanted to show it could be Rhodes. Wanted to show it could be Cody Rhodes, and it could have been a Cody Rhodes 1,010%. But like I said, bad bookings, bad creative, bad shows, bad promos. Like obviously, kind of set Cody Rhodes' back. So then, of course, like his father did, where he left WWF and he went to TNA. He also went to independent wrestling circuits and stuff like that. And he went out. He had to kind of had to find himself. Cody Rhodes kind of stepped in his footsteps in terms of that. He created AEW, which was absolutely badass, pretty cool. I think it should be cool if Cody Rhodes goes to AEW once in a while. I think he should have been probably in his contract. But obviously that's me. Shockingly, he had his return on WrestleMania 38. He fought Seth Rollins. I think he actually injured his right shoulder against Seth Rollins, or then he was out once again. And there was a lot of speculation, especially from WWE fans like myself, that kind of thought, like, why are you bringing this guy back into the WWE? He left. He's injury prone. He's old. He doesn't have it anymore. And then Cody Rhodes came back and he shocked the world, man. It's kind of cool. 2023, he won the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania 39 in SoFi Stadium. People witnessed Cody Rhodes fail to dethrone Roman Reigns, obviously thanks to a couple of interference, but we're not going to get into that. He won the 2024 Royal Rumble. That's back to back. Then he was expected to kind of finish his story after that. But there's so many speed bumps. Him winning the Royal Rumble in 2023 and defeating Roman Reigns would have just been so soon. Would have been so soon. I think WWE fans kind of would have saw through the BS and be like, all right, like we get the, I feel like Roman retaining would be better than giving Cody Rhodes a shot, especially when he just came back to WWE about, like a year ago. Like, this guy was, like I said, he was injured by Seth Rollins, and then he came back, and then he won the Royal Rumble, and now we're supposed to offer him with open arms. A lot of fans probably did back Roman Reigns. There was probably fans that backed Cody Rhodes as well. But Roman Reigns' title run, obviously very, very infamous. Very, very infamous, and a lot of WWE fans, especially Roman Reigns fans, did not want Cody Rhodes to come back so soon to win it. So, obviously, it took a year. You had him come back on WrestleMania 40. You had the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson kind of shocking return. He said it himself that, oh my God, what did he say? He said, should The Rock go get a drink, or should he find himself his seat at the head of the table? And the fans went absolute nuts. The WWE universe went absolutely crazy. And I did too. I gotta be honest, I saw that. I was like, oh shoot. Because I was like, dude, why are we setting Cody Rhodes up to fail again against against Roman Reigns? Because at that time, a lot of people kind of knew that The Rock was wanting to fight and kind of dethrone Roman Reigns, kind of like a family sibling, bloodline dynasty, the Inoue family dynasty, kind of civil war, so to speak. So I feel like I was kind of more for that as opposed to, Cody Rhodes finishing his story. But the WWE Universe ultimately kind of had their voices heard on social media platforms that they wanted to see Cody Rhodes They wanted to see him fight Roman Reigns once again. And I don't know if this was a ploy by WWE, but from sources and also articles stating that they were fully invested in the idea of The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. But obviously things change. Definitely. Like I said, then The Rock returned. It was just so crazy. Everything all at once. I thought it was over for The Rock. No, not for The Rock. I thought it was over for Cody Rhodes. It was pretty crazy. Then, you had the match, WrestleMania 40 Night 1. You had Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes teaming up against the final boss and Roman Reigns. Losing. They lost, so it was Bloodline rules. And during the match, it was filled with chaotic shenanigans. Absolutely one of the best matches for the WWE, especially in WWE WrestleMania, kicking off the Paul Levesque era. You had John Cena return to throw Solo Sikoa through a table. Also go, I think he attitude adjustment Roman Reigns. And then you had The Rock face him for the third time in WrestleMania history. They obviously have a lot of beef, those two. Then, he came face to face with The Rock, and then, obviously The Rock bottomed him. And then you saw The Undertaker come out of nowhere. The Undertaker came out of nowhere. A lot of people are so shocked, because of that. And, he did what he had to do, chokeslammed The Rock, got him the hell out of there. It's been rumored that it was supposed to be Stone Cold Steve Austin's spot, which it kind of would have made a little more sense, when The Undertaker come out and be like, oh, what does The Undertaker really have with The Rock? Obviously, they do have feuds from the past and stuff like that, but it wasn't as prominent as Stone Cold Steve Austin against The Rock. Because Stone Cold Steve Austin was doing so much during his era to make sure that The Rock wasn't successful, kind of like Cody Rhodes, backing him up. Being like, look, I don't want these, the Inoue family. I don't want The Rock, Roman Reigns, or whoever to be as successful. That of course that's the storyline and stuff like that. But it would have fit more or less for Stone Cold Steve Austin. But we got the Undertaker, which was an absolute shock. So I'm happy. I'm definitely happy. We love the American Nightmare. We love the American Nightmare because of his self-built image. Also, definitely the American Nightmare legacy will go on. Rhodes was, surprisingly, he was over Dwayne The Rock Johnson. A lot of fans really wanted Cody Rhodes to finish his story, which was shocking to me. I remember hearing that. I was like, dude, that's stupid. Dwayne The Rock Johnson brings in so much more marketable. Obviously, he comes from, Hollywood. He comes from the UFL. He comes from TKO. Like, why would you not want to see this kind of happen before you? And whenever The Rock was, on TV in WWE, he was loved. He was loved. The WWE universe absolutely loved him. That's why when he took the heel role, a lot of fans hated it, but they cheered for him. They cheered for him. They did not want Rocky to be a heel, but they're like, you know what? We have Rocky here. We're still gonna. It's kind of like you can't have your cake and eat it too, because they wanted Cody to go on to finish the story, but they also loved the idea of The Rock in professional wrestling. So it was hard. It was hard. You kind of had this constant battle of the final boss and the American Nightmare. So, absolutely kind of crazy. Cody Rhodes did it. He won the championship at WrestleMania for the Undisputed Championship. He accomplished what his father couldn't do. And, kind of like something that I kind of compare it to. Obviously, I'm a cook at a senior living facility, but something I kind of like, kind of compare it to. Sometimes you marinate a nice piece of steak. And I don't know, stay with me on this. Don't get creeped out just yet. Sometimes you marinate a nice juicy steak. You just leave it in there, and the sauce and the seasoning and all of it just soaks it up. Like the WWE fans were like Cody Rhodes, brought fans of Romans to him, brought fans of The Rock to him, brought fans of the Bloodline to him, and he's just soaked up. And the moment you kind of grill it, the moment you bring it to life, it just has the sizzle, and it was just so great. It was just so great. Definitely. So guys, that was my third segment of why Cody Rhodes needed to win 2 Royal Rumbles to ultimately dethrone Roman Reigns. But now we're going to get into our fourth segment. We're going to get into New Japan Professional Wrestling Dominion results. So hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. To access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We talked about WWE Monday Night Raw review, WWE NXT preview. We talked about why it took Cody Rhodes 2 Royal Rumbles to finish the story. But without further ado, we're going to get into our New Japan Professional Wrestling Dominion results. So let's go ahead and put that up on the screen. If you can bear with me here. All right. So let's go ahead and get on into it. So we had Tetsuya Naito defeat Callum Newman. It was a really good match, but Newman tried so hard to keep up with Naito, but Naito was absolutely, dominant. He obviously went on to challenge the IWGP champion Jon Moxley to a match at Forbidden Door. And it was a great match. It was a very good match. Obviously, Naito, he pinned Newman to win the match, so, not much to kind of be surprised there. Yet TMDK defeated the Bullet Club War Dogs, which was kind of surprising. Fajita and Connors opened up the match with a short sequence when Fajuda gained the upper hand and Maloney hit the ring, leading a short breakdown. With the numbers advantage, TMDK emerged with the control. And it was just basically all downhill from there, from the other competitors, from the Bullet Club War Dogs, and you can't really blame them for that. Like, you obviously have a tag team that has a lot of chemistry, that could break down matches a lot quicker than the other competitors could have. So next we have the New Japan Professional Wrestling King of Professional Wrestling title Storm Catch Rules match. We had Great Okan defeat Yuya Uemura. It was, I guess it was, I did not watch the highlights of this match, but I heard, I heard Okan was pretty badass. Definitely. Gotta love that. I love the Great Okan. From what I've saw from him so far, very enthusiastic. He was able to he was more athletic than I kind of thought he was going to be, and that kind of surprising. And we have the never open weight 6-man tag team titles. We have Los Ingobero Nobles de Japan they defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi, Oleg Boltin, and Toru Yano, the champion. So I thought that was, you saw new champions crowned. I think I picked them in my predictions. So I know New Japan Professional Wrestling, bro. Next, we have New Japan Professional Wrestling Television Championship. Jeff Cobb defeat Tomohiro Ishii. This match I did watch. I looked it up on YouTube. And I like Jeff Cobb. I like how he controls the match. He mostly, dictates it on the ground. He's kind of a bigger guy, so is the Ishii. But, these guys still got up at the top rope and they were still doing kind of crazy stuff. They were able to pull on submissions and athletic, agile moves that a lot of people thought, like, hey, man, these big men can't kind of do that. But Cobb landed the elbow in the corner, leaving Ishii staring at the ceiling. And, and he, of course, he showed power through and everything like that. But Cobb was able to hit his finisher and pin Ishii to retain his NJPW World Television Championship. Next we have an IWGP Tag Team title, New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team title 4-way elimination tornado match. We had TMDK defeated Bullet Club. They also defeated the Gorillas of Destiny. I know for a fact I did pick the Gorillas of Destiny. And defeat Bishamon. I wanted the Gorilla of Destiny to win. What the hell? Never open weight title match. We had Shingo Tagachi against Haner. It was in a draw, which is kind of cool. I kind of like how New Japan Professional Wrestling, they do have draws. Obviously, you see it on AEW where like this match has a 20-minute time limit, but the time run out. It was a draw. It was a great match. Neither one of them were able to kind of answer the referee's count, resulting in a draw. So we had the IWGP World Heavyweight title match, lumberjack match. Jon Moxley defeated Evil. Kind of happy Evil did not win because he was going to bring on probably like a dark, renaissance, nuance kind of feel to New Japan Professional Wrestling. And when John Moxley's there, you know that you're in for a fight. You know that you're in for something that's going to happen that's absolutely unpredictable. So honestly, I think, John Moxley winning right now is definitely going to, be the best for that. The IWGP World, not the IWGP, Lord. Let's move on. We have the best of Super Junior 31 final. El Desperado won. He won. My guy defeated Taji Ishimori. I kind of thought this was going to, just because he just had so much momentum. Like I mentioned before on the podcast, where I did preview New Japan Professional Wrestling Dominion. It's kind of like, if you could relate to it, like in sports, like a home field advantage, where he's had success in Osaka, Japan before. So no surprise to me that he was able to kind of, do it, push him to the limits. And I don't know, it was pretty cool. Definitely. You had Desperado Challenge show to make their title bout steel cage match. Heading toward the next pay-per-view. I don't know if they're going to fight at Forbidden Door and stuff like that. But honestly, Desperado's he's an electric superstar. Definitely respect him. Definitely love the respect that New Japan Professional Wrestling is kind of putting on. So yeah, definitely keep up the good work. Love the merger with AEW. I think Tony Khan's going to do great things for that company. So yeah. Let's move on to our fifth and final segment, Tuesdays Today in Wrestling History. I'm going to go through some events that happened June 11th in the past. So let's go ahead and, fifth and final segment before I say goodbye to you guys. So, yeah, let's get into that. All right. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Thank you for sticking in with me. If you're just joining, we've gone through a lot. So make sure you check out those, the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast on YouTube. We talked about our New Japan Professional Wrestling, Old Dominion Dominion results. I don't know why I want to keep calling it Old Dominion. We talked about WWE NXT preview. We also talked about how Cody Rhodes needed 2 Royal Rumbles to kind of marinate, kind of help that sizzle for him to dethrone Roman Reigns. So we talked about why he needed that time. Also, we talked about our Monday Night Raw review. So let's jump on into our fifth and final segment. I didn't go too crazy overboard, but I am, still a little overtime here. I know you guys want to watch the soccer podcast, but yeah, let's go ahead and jump on into our fifth and final segment. So today in wrestling history, today is June 11th, 2024. But join me while I jump into this DeLorean, this 88 miles per hour. Like, I don't know if any of you guys are Back to the Future fans, but in 2000, WCW held the Great American Bash, where Chavo Guerrero defeated the Disco Inferno to retain the Cruiserweight Championship. Mike Awesome defeated Diamond Dallas Page in an ambulance match. Scott Steiner retained the United States Championship against Rick Steiner in a handicap match. Hulk Hogan defeated Billy Kidman. You also saw Ric Flair defeat David Flair. This was like a career match. Ric Flair was going to retire if he lost. We had Vampiro defeat Sting in a Human Torch match, which is basically like an Inferno match in WWF. And for the main event, you saw Jeff Jarrett retain his WCW World Heavyweight Championship against Kevin Nash. So that happened today. Not today, but like today as of, in the past of 2000. In 2003, AJ Styles defeated Jeff Jarrett and Raven to win the NWA Championship. Obviously, at that time, you saw the NWA and TNA Impact kind of merge a little bit to kind of bring forth a new wrestling promotion, and of course, it would eventually be TNA. But AJ Styles is a young man. Obviously, the moment he makes it into the wrestling scene, he's electric. He's fire. And he won the championship, the NWA championship, right off the bat. So definitely love AJ Styles for that. In 2006, ECW hosted a one-night stand. This was the first ECW pay-per-view since its bankruptcy and being absorbed by the WWF or WWE. We saw Taz defeat Jerry the King Lawler in 35 seconds. And after that, Taz went to the ringside and actually commentated, kind of creating this idea of him becoming a commenter. Obviously, right now he's on AEW, kind of doing his thing. We also saw, Kurt Angle defeat Randy Orton. We saw Rey Mysterio fight Sabu in a no decision. These guys beat the hell out of each other, ultimately kind of bringing it to a no decision, kind of having these guys, it was a draw. It was a draw. The referees came out, the ambulance came out, the trainers came out, and they're like, these guys cannot finish the match. And it doesn't really surprise me because I love Rey Mysterio and I know what he can do. But then I also love Sabu. Sabu's he's an ECW legend. So, no surprise there. Then you saw Mick Foley team with Edge and lead in, defeated Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer, and Balua McGillicuddy. Balls Mahoney defeated Matsuka Tanaka. RVD in the main event defeated John Cena for the WWE Championship. You saw Edge screw over John Cena, but, then RVD was able to hit the 5-star frog splash. There was no referee. Paul Heyman came sprinting in the ring, counted that 1, 2, 3. So I thought that was actually, pretty darn cool. And in 2007, on this date, Vince McMahon's limo exploded. The storyline showed up as like he was, as he was dead. They were trying to write off Vince McMahon. And, the direction of the company and the storyline, and then just in professional wrestling, changed a whole crap ton. As the following Monday night, they were supposedly supposed to kind of have this storyline with Vince McMahon kind of being dead. But then, the whole tragedy amongst Chris Benoit, and all that kind of stuff happened, and they gave him the tribute show, and then the next week they found out what really happened, and they actually apologized for giving him the tribute show, which all those turn of events was absolutely crazy. I remember watching that. I remember being in awe when I saw the limo explode. I was like, what? I can't wait for next week. Next week happens. Obviously, whatever, with the Benoit thing, and it was just like, oh my God, talk about a crazy roller coaster of wrestling. Those 3 weeks were absolutely crazy. All right, and lastly, in our Today in Wrestling History, on this day in 2017, New Japan Professional Wrestling hosted Dominion in Osaka, Japan. The Young Bucks defeated Beretta and Romero, winning the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa defeated Hansen and Raymond Rowe for their IWGP World Tag titles. Kazuchika defeated Hiromu Takahashi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Hiroshi Tanasha pinned Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Then lastly, we had Kazuchika Okada retain the IWGP title against Kenny Omega in a 60-minute time limit that ended up in a draw. Dave Meltzer rated the match 6.25 out of 5, the greatest professional wrestling match in the history of professional wrestling. Happened on this date in 2017 for a New Japan Professional Wrestling Dominion. So definitely, check out that match on YouTube if you haven't. It's a treat. It's a treat. So, all right, guys, we got through that pretty quick. Happy that I didn't go too overboard here. I'm a little more, kind of longer than that, but yeah. So we did what we had to do. So, guys, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, hosted by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. We also invite you guys to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And like I said, always say, Before I leave you guys, if you haven't made your wrestling fan by now, we have Emran's Soccer Podcast coming up. We have Thomas with College Sports. We have Samantha with Hoops and Heels, your one-stop shop for women's sports. We also have TJ. We have Jeremy on sports. We also have Kenneth and my boy Manny on football podcasts. It's just, we also have Sam on the baseball podcast. And of course, this podcast. I think this week I might be going to Nelson's GSMC basketball podcast to talk a little ball with my man Chris, the host of the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast. So it should be dope. Make sure you guys check out this GSMC Sports, this bloodline that we kind of have working on here, because much like the bloodline was entertaining in WWE, this bloodline in sports podcasting is definitely the best. It's definitely one of the best conglomerates within the sports entertainment industry. So don't be afraid to get involved. Definitely. So guys, once again, thank you for tuning in to my podcast. And as always, I will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. sharp Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about AEW. We're also going to talk about, the fallout from NXT, which I'm totally excited to watch. So yeah, have a good night.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.